Addie Jacobs, and we today have Rudy here talking escrow. So I can't wait to kind of go into wiring documents on the buyer and the seller side. Thank you for joining me on San Diego Home Tours, but today we are talking to a professional, Rudy, all about escrow. So I wanted to know, like, for buyers and sellers, why is Foundation Escrow different, and what do they do with their wiring documents?
Yeah.
So Rudy, go into the weeds with it a little bit, because I know it's different with every company.
Yeah.
And why I choose to use Rudy and Foundation Escrow is top notch. So I wanted to kind of talk to him about it.
Thank you so much for having me. One of the ways that I would say that really separates us, Foundation Escrow, from our competitors is our technology. More specifically, I would say that we're using a new secure portal that we can send wire instructions to your buyers and your sellers. That secure portal is called CertifID. It's a website that we basically input the respective client's information, specifically their email address and phone number, sends them a secure link saying, hey, you're working with Foundation Escrow, do you want to access their wire instructions? And typically it'll ask them a couple security questions on their end pertaining to their identity, just to even also verify that we're even sending it to the correct person.
Because it used to be just like, hey, make sure you call Rudy.
Yeah.
And then make sure.
Or send an email.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh God, still that could be, I mean, it's a lot of money,
Yeah,
right?
and I know a lot of our competitors, for example, they'll send wire instructions before. We used to do the same thing, send it via email, but then ask you to call
Yeah,
the
exactly.
account number,
Yeah.
or they will lock that PDF that they send you. But as you know, with cyber fraud, it's getting very technical. So they can, hackers can basically obviously intercept that respective email, but also even break or unlock that PDF that's locked.
Yeah.
I've had it happen before. So this is just another method just to secure our client's identity, also their personal information. So yeah, I would say once we send them that respective link, specifically on the buyer side, they'll type in their information, verify their identity, and at the very end, they'll be able to download a fully accessible copy of the wire instructions. And on there, it also even tells them, hey, now that you've downloaded these wire instructions, please call our office just to reconfirm. Because God forbid, what if someone gets a spoofed email for that same security source that we use? Similarly, for sellers, what we're doing now, just to protect when we send out their proceeds, we also, once we get their wire form that they fill out through our office, we upload that to that secure portal, CertifID, and they will basically have to go in there and attest that that information that they originally provide us is accurate. One of the things I say that's very important, not only to make sure it goes to the correct place the first time, but also I've had sellers even change their wire instructions. So like, for example, someone will give me a wire instructions and say, oh, it's with Navy Federal. And then the day that we were due to disperse, they'll call me and say, oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you that I changed to Bank of America. So it's like, hey, this is our formal intent. This is our tangible way to confirm that what you provided me is in fact correct, and it's not changing. Because God forbid, I don't want to.
No. And I would like what you were telling me that with like the EMD.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. Like if it gets wired to the wrong place, then it's still.
Yes. So one of the components that we have through the CertifID portal is that when the buyer is going through that process to access the wire instructions, one of the prerequisites before you access those wire instructions is basically saying, hey, do I want to pay for wire insurance? So essentially, I think it's like $10. It's based on the quantity in which you're wiring. But if you paid for that respective insurance, God forbid if the wire went to a different location or somewhere it wasn't supposed to, CertifID and Foundation Escrow would be able to assist in terms of ensuring that you get that money back.
Yeah.
To some capacity, or if not all of it.
Yeah.
So definitely, I would say it's a very important aspect. But again, as agents, when you're advising your clients, definitely always have them call the escrow company. And I would even say, because again, with escrow companies, you're dealing with maybe 5 or more people sometimes.
Yeah.
On my team, I have 4 people. And I would always tell an agent as well as a buyer, find your point of contact and stick with that person. That way you don't have to beat around the bush, call 3 different people, get 3 different answers. You stick with that one person, you feel secure, you have your wire instructions, and then you're good from the get-go.
Yeah. And Rudy works really early in the morning.
I'm
like, I don't know how I email and he's already on work. I'm like, oh my God, does this guy work all the time? So it works out really well. So what is that called again?
The portal's called CertifID.
CertifID.
Yeah, so we usually always, the way that we don't just send out that link right away, we send out an introduction to both buyer and seller saying, hey, welcome to Foundation Escrow. You will be getting a separate email from CertifID. So it's kind of like letting them know beforehand, like, hey, you're going to get this email.
Weird thing.
So that way it's just not because I've had it before where a client would be like, what is this? And then one of the things that we also do is not only will they get an email, if we have their cell phone number, which is very important, it will also send them a text message saying like, hey, you're now working with Foundation Escrow. FYI, here's a link that you can access via your cellular device, or you can access via email.
Okay.
So it's a two-part component. If they can access via phone, they can access via email.
And I think it's also nice to see where as all the documents are coming in, we are also getting that email stating like where they're at in the transaction.
Yes,
Because
precisely.
sometimes you're just like lost in translation, at least on, the real estate side with multiple deals going at one time. You're like, I wonder if, but I never feel like I wonder if because I'm getting those emails.
So that's another component that we've also introduced to our system. We have a separate portal called Foundation Connect. So that's pretty much right when we open the file, it'll send out a link to both the agents, the buyers, and the sellers, letting them know like, hey, we also have a portal called Foundation Connect. That portal is what you're referring to in terms of giving you constant updates on the file. You can also upload documents through there as well. So like similar, for example, like if a buyer was getting a loan, their lender would have them upload secure documents, for example, like stuff that has their social. You can do that through Foundation Connect. So all you got to do is make an account through our system. You can see in real time the status of the file, see all the documents that we have in our possession, and also, of course, upload stuff like that. Like, for example, I've had sellers or buyers say, hey, I don't want to send a trust document via email because it has personal information. Perfectly fine. They can upload it through Foundation Connect. We get a notification and immediately saves to our file. And then similarly for agents too, if they want to upload something through our file, they can do that as well. They can get an update. I've even gone as far as separately, for example, like if an agent, like a buyer's agent wants to be a point of contact, I'll send them the wire instructions via our secure portal as well. And that way they can pass them to their clients, or if they want to compare and contrast what their client received and what they received, they can say, hey, I have both of the same information. I think we're good to go.
Actually, I'm really excited about this because my new listing that has the trust that I sent you, if that's not all correct, then you could actually just get a hold of her and keep me out of it, and then she can upload in there.
Exactly. And I get an email notification once it's uploaded.
Okay. Because we don't know all that you need all the time. You know what I mean? And then it gets lost in translation again. So I think that's why I stick with you, quite honestly, because you do like figure stuff out for me. I know that's probably, but like it's good because you guys need it on your end and we're running around town all day doing what we're doing.
So just to be clear, we have two respective portals, one via CertifID, which is solely for wire instructions, and then the separate one, which is more so geared towards the actual file in totality, which is Foundation Connect.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Rudy, for joining us today. And we're going to talk some more, but on separate videos.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Bye.